All right, welcome to our Practice Power Academy, August 2017 live Ask Coach Anything. And I'm the coach, Joe Lucas. And what we're going to do today, all of you, all members, quite frankly, and invited guests have an opportunity to submit a question, whether during registration or actually during this event here. And I will do my best to give you my best advice, to brainstorm, to answer questions. We are recording this, so if you miss something, have to step away, we will find this up on my YouTube channel. Now, real quick about the YouTube channel. So Coach Joe Lucas, L-U-K-A-C-S. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, highly recommend it. Two reasons. Number one is I now push out a daily 3 to 5 minute video on just what's on my mind. So, you know, really here and now stuff, and I'd like you to get it, you know, that day, delivered on your phone or wherever you like it to be delivered, right? And we don't do email around that. Saturday, we just started doing our Super Saturday Strategy newsletter, which will go out Saturday, which is basically a recap of what we've done for the week, right? So just make sure one or two ways you get an opportunity to do that, take advantage of it. We're here. So let's go over the rules for today. Very simple. First and foremost is if you're here, and if I can pick you up live, I would like to do that just in case I need some context. So hopefully you're not going to be shy, right, if you're here. And we're set to go for maybe up to an hour. Again, it's August, so, and I appreciate you all being here because I know August, again, end of summer coming up, a lot of other things we could do, so I appreciate you all being here today. And just really cool, we have people from like 4 different countries here today, this afternoon. Actually, for some of you, it was like late night out in England, so I appreciate you all being here also. So let's hit it. All right, so I'm going to go in some random order here and just pick a question and give my best answer. So Bill writes, I don't know if Bill's here. Let me look. If I look away, it's just because I have a little board here. I can see what's going on. I don't see Bill here, so what we're going to do is read his question, and then I'll give you the answer. How do I reduce the distractions at the office? All right, so which is, man, that's a big subject matter right there. But let me hit it for you. So, you know, distractions come in different varieties, right? Just think about it. You know, it's not like one thing. It's people, right? You have people walk in, whether it's colleagues or wholesalers or clients. So that's step, you know, it's area 1. Area 2 is what happens with that usually black device, right, with the handset, right? What happens there? And then now, wonderfully enough, we have this beautiful thing called technology / email, right? What happens there? And then over here, we now have these things here, right, called the phone, right? And we have text messages and things beep and all this other crazy stuff, right? And so literally, if you don't have discipline, you can literally feel like you're working in a call center where you're just in reaction mode the entire day. And look, I've talked to people who really get kind of stuck in that. So Bill, a couple things. And, you know, a lot of times the pushback I get on these strategies is something like this. Well, Joe, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I want to give my clients high customer service. I want to give high client service. And then I say, well, walk me through the definition of high client service, right? And what they say is, well, I need to be accessible. I want like you mean like pick up the phone on the first ring accessible, right? Like answer an email in the first 5 minutes? Like, what are we talking about here? And a lot of times, what I find for advisors is that these rules are based on fear. Fear of pissing off a client, alienating the client, and so on. And the reality is, unless you've got somebody who's really, really demanding, which is a whole nother subject, that what clients care about is when am I going to hear back from you, and not, you know, they expect 5 minutes. So here's some strategies I use with my clients that work real well. First off, the email piece, which I know is huge. I have clients that do this, and it's brilliant, and it works really well. And by the way, there's no loss of customer service or impact like that. Autoresponder. Hey, thanks for emailing me. Because I'm serving clients or in a review or doing what I do, I answer emails 9, 12, 3, 6. Pick whatever you want, right? So in other words, you're going to tell them when we're going to look at this. If it is an emergency, call my office at 888 or whatever the number is, boom, right? And that way they know what to do if it's a real 911. And you and I both know 99.5% of the time it's not a 911. We want to make it a 911 because it validates us. So that's number 1. So as far as email goes, you can go ahead and just kind of handle it that way. And if it's a crisis, the client will call, and it's really going to be a crisis. So I think that's important. and then shut Outlook down and don't look at it between time, right? Just let everything be there. It'll be there when you need it to be there. It's not, trust me, if there's something big, people will find you. It's number one. Now the phone, number two. Most phone systems have this wonderful thing called a blinking light, right? And so when you have a voicemail, it's like just like you're looking at it and there's a beep 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 beep. I literally have clients that will take not duct tape, electrical tape, and they will actually tape over the little flasher so they don't see it. And that way, when they're on block time for like an hour or two in a day, and block time we typically want to use for outbounds, right? Making our calls, getting out there, doing things like that. That works really well. And then again, what's your voicemail say, right? Hey, thanks for calling. I return calls several times a day. If it's critical, do this, right? Call back or hit this extension and ask for this person and they'll help you, or whatever you need to do. What will stress a person, and think about this for yourselves. What stresses us out is not knowing something, uncertainty. So as long as you communicate to your client the expected, here's where we're going to get to you, right? And unless you're doing something, very unique, intraday trading, calls, puts, options, things like that, 5 minutes is going to like make or break something, which is very rare these days, at least the people I deal with, you can definitely get away with that. Now, people, the next piece, right? Very simple. Close your door. I can't tell you how many times people come in and out. I say, well, why? Well, do you have an open door? Well, yeah. Well, why do you have an open door? Well, because I want to be accessible. Yeah, be accessible half the time. The other half the time, don't be. If you have a client come in or you're on a conference call with somebody, I don't think you're that accessible, right? So why do the rules need to be different? And this is just the psychology of our industry that we need to get over this. We're not stockbrokers anymore. We're not going to, it's like, man, if I don't pick up that phone, I'm not going to get that trade, right? It's rare these days that unless you got a real, kind of legacy model, for lack of a better word, versus old, legacy, right? It's a new word. Then it doesn't matter. You got to control your environment, because what you think is great customer service or great client service, here's the reaction of, here's the reality of that. I'm doing this for one of my A clients. I'm doing an analysis, I'm prepping for a review, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, right? And now I got all this garbage coming at me. I got ding, ding, ding. I got email, Outlook's pinging at me. My phone's buzzing. I got some wholesaler waving at me and some crazy stuff like that. Am I really doing the best for this person here? Or well, half my brain or 3/4 of my brain is over here. Or worse, I'm on the phone with somebody, right? And I need to be present with them. And I got all this stuff going on. That is not great client service. So you need to reframe that. Bill, that's what I would say. Like, just put that in order. Do what you need to do there, and that will make a big difference. And look, here's the beauty of what I just said. Try it. Nothing's set in stone. You can always go back to the old crazy ways if you want, right? But that way you know it's going to work, all right? So hopefully that'll serve Bill. Now, let's go on to the next person, Tom. Tom writes, why is a morning success ritual so important? Okay, this will be literally a 5-minute, hopefully, conversation. And let me see if he's here first. Oh, good, 0 for 2. Loving this. So here's why. And I've been doing morning rituals for decades, and before they were called morning rituals, in my growing up in the Tony Robbins organization, we used to call our morning power hour, or our hour of power, whatever terminology. That was the genesis, right, or the initiator of now the morning success ritual, morning routines, if you will. And look, you can just Google morning success rituals, and you'll find a plethora from Richard Branson to all these, not just Joe Lukacs, right? All these different people do this. Now, why do all these real successful people do this, right? It's not just kind of a few. It's like pretty much everybody. Because you have to prime for your day. You have to get your mind right. Because here's the reality, is if you come in your office trying to figure out what the heck to do that day, you are dead that day. You're trying to, because you're going to be reacting to the day, you're not going to be driving it. And I feel most people want to feel like they're in control. That they're in control of their day, that they're in control of their world, that they're in control of their business, right? And where are you going to find the time to kind of think like that, right? The only time, at least that I'm aware of, is first thing in the morning. Is, when before the crazyville starts, right? Whether you have kids, it doesn't matter. Clients, kids, probably not much of a difference, quite frankly, for some of you. It's that 30 minutes or maybe an hour, if you can really kind of stretch it out, where you can just, hey, what are my goals? Review your business plan. have a meeting with yourself, right? That's what I call it. You know, really have that conversation. The most important conversations I ever have are with me, and they don't happen on the fly. They are intentional. They are with a cup of coffee, right? First thing in the morning, as I go over my business plan, my goals, my devotionals, everything that I do to put myself at a peak state so I can go and give to everybody at the highest levels. And when I work with people on this, you know, it's interesting is that their morning ritual is a huge precursor. And here's what I mean by the term precursor. If I have a client and they've got a very good morning ritual for them, and look, what works for Joe Lucas may not work for you, and I think I would always encourage you to try some different things, test. I don't have all the answers for everybody in terms of what's going to work for you. And if I think about my client base, for example, I probably have 50 different variations, right, of a morning ritual that I talk about in Practice Power Academy. But the key thing is that you practice it. And what I find is that when I've got somebody that's got a really good dialed-in morning ritual, they have a great daily game plan, they're in control, they're proactive, their numbers are good, they're driving towards the goals, and generally they're just a lot less stressed out because they have that time to have a meeting with themselves. And even with those people doing that, those clients really doing that, right, the other piece is that, it's no, hey, just because you did it yesterday, no guarantee you're going to do it today. And what I find that gets with the biggest detriment to morning rituals, quite frankly, vacations. I can literally have somebody that's locked in for weeks and weeks, even months and months sometimes, right? And then they go on vacation, which I'm a big fan of. I got no qualms with that. Please take as much time as you want. But you may want to maintain pieces of that morning, right? Some little, I'm not saying you got to get up at 5:30, but make sure you do certain things, right? People come back from vacation and it's like they obliterate the morning ritual, and it takes them weeks sometimes to get it back. So the one thing I would say on the MSR is I practice it every day, 7 days a week. I don't care what's going on, vacation, tactical day, strategic day, I do it. And the reason why I do it is because I know it serves me. And I'm the first one to vary it. I think, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, as a matter of fact. For those of you who actually do get my daily videos, right? Yesterday was a pretty cool day. I got up super early. I couldn't sleep, and I got so excited. I was thinking about something, and so I literally got up at like a 4:30, 4:45, and I did a chunk of my morning ritual that I normally do, and then I actually went in my office, which is on the second floor of my home here in Florida, and I spent a couple hours here just working on a project which I had the epiphany on. So I wanted to strike while the iron's hot. And then I was like, okay, now what? I still got some more ritual to do. And I literally jumped in my car, drove to the beach, which is not that far from here, and literally put ankle deep in the water, watched the sun. And there's a video of this, so you can check this out. And I did the rest of my morning ritual watching the sun come up over the Atlantic Ocean. And that just blew, that was just breathtakingly beautiful. I love sunrise. I'm a sunrise person. That's my thing, right? And it just aligned me for the day at such a high level that I got to find a way to do this more often, right? From that perspective, or just buy a house on the beach. That's why the morning ritual is so important, because it allows you to have the meeting with yourself that you need every day, to remind yourself why you're doing what you do, and not just doing what you do in terms of the to-do list and what I got to get through today, but do what you do at the highest level. Like, why are we here, right? To serve, to help, to improve, to better people, right? So that's why you need to do it, right? So that's why it's so important. It is the glue of consistency. You have a consistent morning ritual, your business is going to be consistent. That's what I say, Tom. All right, Mary, big question here. What does our industry look like in 5 to 10 years? All right, so first off, it's all going to be here in terms of there'll be the wirehouses, and there'll be the banks, and there'll be the independent BDs, and there'll be the RIAs, although I think you're going to see a lot more RIAs, and that seems to be the trend. More owner-operators, more entrepreneurs in that regard. There'll be less of us, right? We all know that there's our retirement wave is upon us, and there's not nearly as as many younger people coming in. So I think it's going to be what I call your future is going to look a little bit different depending on where you are. I think it's going to look different in a wirehouse versus an IBD, independent broker-dealer, versus a pure RIA, versus an insurance type scenario, versus doing just pure planning, fee-based planning. I think each one's going to have their niche. I can guarantee you technology is going to play a bigger role. And I'm not talking about just kind of like robo stuff, which I know is like a big buzzword, obviously, the last couple of years. I mean in terms of just technology, video conferencing, text messaging, webinars, simulcasts, webcasts. There'll just be a lot of cool things that you as an advisor will be able to do. Video email, which now is you can now do, believe it or not. There's just a lot of cool things that I think are going to be there. Now, as far as a couple other things, I absolutely believe this in my, and I'm seeing it, so it's not just my concept, I'm seeing it actually, and I'm witnessing it firsthand with some of my clients, is I do think there'll be fee compression. In fact, we're seeing it on the upper ends, 3, 5, 10, $20 million. I've got clients who are being very aggressive there, quite frankly, and we're winning business, and we're winning big business, and the big business is still profitable. So I think you're going to see that. I think disclosures are going to be greater. So DOL, non-DOL, and I know what's going on in the last 24 hours. Everybody's like, oh, look, we're saved, and we'll see about that, right? The reality is that you're still going to have more disclosure. So the concept of hiding fees inside of products and things like that, I don't care what ultimately happens, that will no longer be tolerated as an industry. So I think for a lot of advisors, they're going to be faced with the perhaps very uncomfortable conversation with their client on, oh, by the way, here's what you're really paying. Right? And by the way, and they'll figure out, hey, I've been paying that for the last 5 or 10 years. So I think you're going to see, I think our communication skills as an industry have got to get a hell of a lot better. And I'm not talking about how to just pitch a product. I mean how to really relate to people. I think that's going to be critically important. If you are just doing asset management and that's all we got going on, I think I'm not saying you won't be in business. I'm just saying that's probably the most vulnerable place to be with technology, with AI, robo, and everything else. I mean, I think 5, 10 years from now, it's going to be a little bit of a tough sled. Where the money is, let's talk about what is going to be, right? And again, doesn't matter what platform you're on. Where the money is in the relationship. Really being your client's person, right? A member of what I call the troika. Let me explain troika real quick. Everybody knows it's 3. So my belief has always been that, if you're a great advisor, and in terms, I don't mean revenue, I mean just in terms of who you are as a person, that you sit alongside the other 2 people in most people's lives. And who are those other 2 people? The person who handles their spiritual world, right? Their spiritual advisor, whether that's a priest, a rabbi, a minister, some person on TV asking for money, whatever, right? And then there's who handles your physical body, your doctor, your trainer, whoever, right, from that perspective. Well, this third element here, who handles your resources, fancy word for money. You have to be aligned there. That's the seat at the table we all need, right? And the only way you get that seat at the table at that level is you have to care more, and I know that sounds like very superficial, but it's true. You need to add massive value. You need to train, communicate, educate, coach, all those things. We are going to end up in what I call a personality-driven profession. Now, what do I mean by personality-driven? What I mean by that statement is that a person that you are going to matter more in terms of whether or not they're going to hire you than your firm, your process, your black box portfolio, that at the end of the day, you're going to opt, just like doctors, right? When you think about this, you don't go to a doctor's group and say, hey, I need a doctor, right? Oh, I like the group, so I'm going to go, whoever you got, I'll take. No, you go to the person, whether you refer to them, you research them, whatever, and whatever group they're a part of, you deal with that, right? So, again, personality-based, right? You go find wherever house of worship or whatever you do based on the personality, right? We are no different. And that's going to become more and more of a bigger deal. So that means that you've got to do, again, I'm not going to get into platforms, wirehouse, independent, I'm just telling you where the world's going to be in 5, 10 years. Where it's starting to become now is that you're gonna have to, people are gonna need to know where you stand on things. Hey, what are your beliefs around financial planning, running money? What's your beliefs around the stock market, right? The economy. Like, people are gonna be asking these questions. You gotta have this figured out, right? And hey, how do you run money, right? How do you do planning? Like, really have your concepts down, your your psychology around all these things, your philosophies around these things. All this is going to matter, right? And let's face it also, with all the boomers retiring, that they're going to live a lot longer. I hope you're reading what I'm reading, right? There's a lot of noise in the financial planning circles on, we better figure out how to plan for people living to be 100, because the next 10, 20 years, with medical breakthroughs, that could be the norm, not an exception anymore, right? Well, that changes everybody's premise, right, on longevity, and all those things you need to be aware of. So, and if you've heard what I said on Wednesday, again on that video, I can't think of a better place to be than in our industry, because I just think it's I don't know a better place, and I mean that sincerely, where you can make literally as much money as you want. You can literally take as much time off as you want. And I say that, and I'm not blowing smoke. I mean, I have clients that really do take 16, 18, 24 weeks a year, and they go play. And we're doing $1 million, $2, $3 million of production. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can have sustainability, longevity, all those things. Lawyers can't do that. Doctors certainly can't do that. Dentists can't do that. You show me another profession where you can go do what we do here and have impact on people, right? How many of you get invited to your clients' birthday parties, weddings, right? You end up going to funerals, right? Their lawyers ain't going to the funeral. Their lawyer probably is not getting invited to the wedding either, right? You're at the table. So keep that in mind. So, Mary, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I'm almost put my hat in that and work with that. Now, David asked, and I know David's always here, so actually we're going to grab him for a second. So Dave, get ready, man. I'm coming for you. What are the characteristics FAs can use to really differentiate themselves? All FAs say they're smart, trustworthy, and confident. Yeah, they all BS too, right? From that perspective. Let me see if I can grab him. Dave is actually a colleague of mine. So Dave, can you hear me? Can we hear you? Say something.
I can hear you.
All right, cool, man. So elaborate on that topic, please. And it's an interesting topic, and boy, we can riff for a good hour on it, but we're not going to do that. So tell me.
Back to me again, Joe, because I had to plug my.
Okay.
I had to plug my mic in.
All right, cool. So what are the characteristics FAs can use to really differentiate themselves? All FAs say they are smart, trustworthy, competent, right? And I don't disagree with those three, but those three everybody says, so hence, right?
Exactly.
It's just kind of hyperbole at the end of the day. So I'm gonna answer the question this way. I don't know if it's so much as a tagline or belief set or anything like that. I think what it really comes down to is what I call the client experience or the prospect experience. I think what really makes a differential is how you treat people, the kind of the process you put them through. And the old saying, actions speak way louder than words. So you can say whatever you want in any walk of life, and you know what? People are going to make their decision based upon how you treat them, how you behave. Do you walk the talk? So I think that's going to be really the key thing. I just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta, and what was very interesting about that was, we talked about, just the subject. How do you position yourself, right? How do you kind of differentiate yourself? And, there's a lot of buzzwords out there in terms of, well, we're client-centric, we're proactive, we're holistic, right? We're boutique. And all those things, to me, I have no idea what they mean because they mean different things to different people. So exactly. I think the differential really is in the actions. And look, I think you're going to be able to look somebody in the eye, face-to-face, over the phone, whatever, and say, I'm going to care about you. I'm going to care about you, and I'm going to do my best to get you where you need to be. And either you're going to mean it or you're not. And I think the sincerity is what matters. And, it's not about sales process. And the only way you're going to really be different is to ask yourself, why am I here? What am I doing? Why am I in this business? What am I all about? Because I'll tell you what, if you're here just to make a lot, and I run across people like this, and I don't work with them, and Dave, hope you don't mind, we'll put you back on mute because you're a little noisy back there. I want to get the recording good.
Sorry.
All right, cool. No worries. All right, cool. Yeah, back. So, I've run across plenty of people in my, 24 and a half years doing this that, want to engage me because they want to make more money. And then when I do a little dive into their worlds, right, and it's sad. And this would get, by the way, This is what gives our industry the bad rap it does. And it's probably only like 5%, right? But the 5% ruin it for the other 95%, right? Is that they look at people, they look at clients, and they look at prospects as basically resources so that they can use that resource to get them where they want to be economically. It is such a foul, oh man, I don't even want to put the terms on it. It's such a bad thing. And so, and look, I think most people now, I think a lot of people will kind of get a feel for that, and then they kind of run the other way. But I think from a characteristic standpoint, I think there's, then there is some window dressing, if you will. So I think you have to have a killer website. I mean, your website is your storefront, right? Websites are first impressions these days. I mean, people will check you out online now. If you don't have, if you want to talk about, hey, we have this great high net worth practice and we do this and do this, and your website looks like it's from the 1990s, guess what? They're not buying it. Your LinkedIn profile. There's some people in this industry who don't have a picture on their LinkedIn profile, and yet, how do you expect people to trust you, right? So I think there's kind of the internal side of things, right? And then there are some of the external window dressing pieces and things like that you just need to have. And I'm just telling you, just treat people better, treat them with respect, care about them. I wish I could find a way to coach caring. Like I really say, like, here's a caring course, go take this, right, and you'll care more about people. Either you got it or you don't. Either you're going to have empathy or you're not. And that's the best way to do it. Okay, so hopefully that answers some of your questions there. And let's move on to Bill, see if he's here today. And nope, don't see him. So Bill writes, what is the best way to draw your prospects to a decision? Right? Should you try to overcome I want to think about it, right? So this, again, without a lot of background, I'm going to take a shot at this and see if I can kind of put some context around it. First off, every human being has what we call their own personal decision-making syntax, right? Decision-making syntax. And if you guys want to see what it is, you go on to Practice Power Academy. I think there's an e-learning series there, how to get clients and prospects to take action, where I kind of go over the syntax. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, because it's about 45 minutes, But there's like, are they process-oriented or are they outcome-oriented, right? A process-oriented people will want to think about it. They need to process. They need to ponder, right? You can't close hard on those people because you'll alienate them, right? Then the outcome person is like, dude, let's just get it. Yeah, I like this. Let's go, right? And I'm definitely that person, by the way, if you haven't figured that out, right? So you have that. You have people that are big picture versus detail, right? There's just a lot of different ways people, and think about it yourselves. Whenever you've had to make a quote-unquote major decision, all of you have a protocol you run. All of you, right? Well, your client or your prospect, they have their own protocols. So question one is, it would be a good idea to find out what their protocol is, right? So you know what you're dealing with. And how do you get a protocol? It's really a question. Hey, in the past, when you were deciding on either an investment or deciding on who to work with as your advisor, I'm curious, how'd you make that decision? How'd you go about it, right? And if they say, well, Joe, what we did is we interviewed like 5 advisors. And then what we did with the 5 advisors is then we asked for references, and we called their references. And then we whittled it down to the top 2. And then with the top 2, we then met with our CPA and got what we thought what their opinion was. And then, hey, my son-in-law, he's got an MBA, so he's bright as a whip, right? So then we're going to go check it out with him, right? So what's that person? Process. Not just process-oriented. What else are they? External. Because they can't make a decision themselves. They need to validate through third parties, right? Well, right there, I know I'm in for a hell of a sales cycle. That's going to be measured in weeks and months, all right? And so if you're one of these advisors that, hey, I want to get this done so I can get on to the next thing, you're going to be highly frustrated. And it happens, right? So versus, well, we got referred to this person, and we really liked them, and they said some good things, and it sounded good, and we kind of trusted them, and so we met like once or twice, and then we just went with it, right? Well, there's a person that's totally outcome-oriented, right? No, totally internal, didn't need references, didn't need to talk to anybody. And look, this is a science. And so the best way to get is first off, is find out what are the rules of their decision-making process, right, by asking questions. Number 2, you better know these 3 things. And this is all, by the way, this is all in Meeting Mastery and Practice Power Academy, free. So just go listen to it. It's an audio program. What is it that the prospect needs, in their opinion, what do they need, right? 2, what do they want? And I'll explain the difference in a second. 3, what are their issues, concerns, fears, wounds? And we call it needs, wants, and wounds, right? A need can be, I need income. I need not to take a lot of risk. I need whatever their need, right? And you ask the question, right? Now, and you need to make sure you meet those needs, right? Now, what's a want? A want is something higher. So they may say, I need income, but then you say, well, I'm curious, why is that so important to you? Well, because I want to buy this house. I want to never have to worry about running out of money. I never want to be a burden to my children, right? That emotional piece there is going to drive that decision, as long as it's connected here, right? And then the third piece, right, wounds or issues, concerns, what bothers them, right? And you got to fix that too. And you need to have all, so like Lily, it's almost like a matrix, right? Where I got to have all, okay, decision-making syntax, needs, wants, wounds, right, styles, all that, and then I can thread a needle in there and then respond. And look, I do it all the time in my world here. I get referred to, pretty much I work on referral these days. And I'll talk to an advisor and, I'll say, look, tell me why you're here. Tell me, have you worked with a coach before? How did you decide that? What you like, what you didn't like. Tell me what you're looking for. Tell me what's, hey, I got to have, whether these I don't want to deal with lists. And I interview them, right? And I get all their syntax, and then I know how to talk to them. I know how to position things, right? I know how to recommend things. And that's what it really, really boils down to. And look, and if some people, to get very specific with his question on, some people need to think about it, look, I know you do. And that's the first thing I would say. I know you need to think about it because you want to make sure you're making the right decision. So here's the question I have for you. How much time do you need? Are we talking 24 hours, 48 hours? Because if it's a couple of days or maybe even up to a week, I'll kind of buy that, if you will. If they got to ponder for weeks or months, then I think they're blowing smoke at you, and I would challenge it, quite frankly, right? I would go back to, well, wait a second. You told me last meeting that you wanted this, and this, and this was important to you, and you didn't want to deal with that, and it was like that was super important. And based upon what I recommended to you, you agreed. Cause I got you to shake your head on each one. We covered this. We covered it all, right? And I know you need to think about it. So I'm no qualms on that. But then why do you need 90 days? Like, help me understand that. And I literally would bite my tongue and wait. I need them to justify it to me. I'm not going to go handle objections or try to overcome something. I'm playing their game. I'm going to play my game or my strategy, right? And you just wait them out. And I'm serious. I still do it to this day, and I literally bite my tongue. And there's like 10 seconds of dead air, and it feels like it's an hour, right? But I'm telling you, it works if you have the right intention. Okay. So Bill, hopefully that helps you out there. Let's see if Jay's here. Man, I'm just batting 1,000 today here, other than Dave. So Jay, how to door knock without projecting a needy practice and therefore alienating high net worth prospects. So I'm not going to get into names, but I think Jay is associated with a St. Louis-based organization, which we're not going to get into who they are today. And I'm going to look. The one thing I've always done on everything I do is I speak what I think the truth is, right? So I don't sugarcoat stuff. So I'm going to answer this question this way: it's not answerable. I don't know how you go door to door in this day and age and think those are good optics. That's a good association, right? That's going to put you in a certain place. The only place I would even consider it, and I do have, I think maybe 1 or 2 clients that still play with this from time to time. Look, if you want to go down Main Street and talk to the small business owners, the merchants, kind of those people, and you can do a lot of good there. I think that's really cool. But to go like residential, number one, a lot of places don't allow it. Number 2, a lot of places you need a license to do it, right? Number 3, in some places of the country, depending where you may get shot doing it, right? So I just, we talk as an industry of, hey, we're professionals, and we want to be held in this esteem with CPAs and lawyers and doctors and whoever else you want to put your kind of mind to, and yet we're going to behave in a way. And look, and my sense is, I know, let's face it, your firm, this is their institutional thinking, which they've had for decades, right? And I'll be very blunt. I believe it's obsolete. In the day of the internet, I can get ads on my phone, right? I can do all this stuff. Why the heck why am I going to be operating like a Fuller brush salesman, a vacuum salesman, a knife salesman, an encyclopedia salesman? Why Why would I do that, right? And it just, again, I just don't understand I understand the recommendation. I take a lot of odds with that, and I get it. Like I said, I wish you were here. We can have a chit chat about it without getting to too many names here. I don't think you can do that. I just think this is an attraction-based business, okay, attraction-based. 20 years ago, it was not so much, and here's what I mean. 20 years ago, maybe even up to 15 years ago, you literally could get on the phone, call somebody, and sell them a bond, sell them a preferred, get them to open up an account, right? And I grew up in this industry. That's what we used to train. How to be great on the phone, right? Because that's how it was done. It was done cold calling, and at some levels it was done cold walking. Today, I don't think I have one client. No, I got one. I got one guy who cold calls every day, 10 people. Now, he's also a $4 million producer, and he ain't calling mom and pop middle America to go get a $10,000 bond trade. He's calling CEOs, managing partners of firms. He's elephant hunting, and he just likes the game. He doesn't have, and he does it like he calls their offices, just so you know, and he calls their offices. He's on the phone at 7 a.m. And it's like, why would he call at 7 a.m.? Because if they're the leader of that organization, if they're a mover and shaker, chances are they're at their desk between 7 and 8, and chances are all the salespeople call at 9, right? So if the phone rings, they're going to pick it up because they're going to think, well, it's got to be someone I know, because who else would know I'm here? And he has actually brought in a ton of business over the years being different. So I know that works, but I don't think you're going to go not ring on somebody's doorbell at 6 o'clock in the morning and start talking to them. So again, and I say this respectfully, Jay, I think and I have in the past worked with people at your organization, so here's what I think is really important. Referrals are critical. I mean, I'm just thinking about somebody that my team worked with a couple of years ago at your company, and and we fought that same battle of, hey, they want us out there kind of pounding the pavement and stuff like that, and I said, well, give me the numbers, right? How many doors, right? How many conversations, how many follow-ups and literally it was like a week's worth, literally 12 to 15 hours of just foot time to maybe get a meeting or two. I mean, talk about inefficient, right? Just terrible, right? And even get a meeting doesn't mean you're going to get a client, right, out of it. And if you get a client, it's going to be a small client, right, because you're just some person walking up door to door. And so I said, if we can find a way, and they had a bit of a book. They had and this is really the scary part, they had like 150 clients already. I said, what would happen if we just work referrals? And then, you do your networking at the business groups, and I like that, and, you kind of go play in traffic, and some of your firms say that. I think that's really cool to do, and I think that would work really well, but I don't see how you can go door to door and not have the vibe or the optics of just kind of being needy, and especially in a high net worth area. Now, I think, again, and I'm not going to put a number on that because I think high net worth means different things to different people. Some people it means $1 million. Some of my clients it's $10 million, right? So it doesn't really matter. I just don't see how you do it. And I'm being flat out on that would be like, in case of emergency, break glass. Last thing I'd ever want to resort to. I'd want to try anything else. I mean, I have clients running Facebook ads, getting business. Putting ads out there on seminars and webinars, and they're getting people to attend. I mean, in the day of the internet, right? All this stuff, we're going to be hoofing it. I just don't like the optics. I'm being very honest with you. Okay. Those are the questions I had that were put on here first. Does anybody have any follow-ups they want to throw on the board? If not, no big deal. I know it's summer, right? I know it's Thursday. It's late in the afternoon, and if everybody's really cool, I'm totally fine too. A couple things real quick. We will get this up on YouTube on the Coach Joe Lukacs LUKACS channel next day or two, probably, from that perspective. And if you're not subscribed to it, you definitely want to be, because again, I pop those daily videos out there. You want to get a hold of that. And anything else I can help you with, let me just say this real quick, then we'll wrap it up. I was asked this the other day, and it was really interesting. Hey, why do you put these videos out? Why are you giving your stuff away, right, so to speak? Why is Practice Power Academy free? Like, how come you're not just kind of charging a ton of money for it? And that's a great question. And I thought a lot about this. Like, okay, what am I all about, and everything like that. And I've been at this now for, like I said, 25 years, and it has afforded me a tremendous lifestyle. I love what I do. Man, I get up every morning, and I just can't wait to help all of you, and I mean that sincerely, because I love the industry, and I think the industry sometimes gets a bad rap because of some bad people that ruin it for everybody else. I really think it's a wonderful place to be, and it's been so good to me that I want to support it in my way that I can do, right? And so that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm gifting you. That's why I've got no picture for you. Oh, hey, do this, sign up. I got none of that for you. I'm just here because I want to help you. I want to help you be more successful for you, your family, your clients, and maybe make the world a bit better place in the meantime. Okay, so enough of this kind of soft, gooey stuff, if you will. Hey, I want you to have a great rest of the month. Enjoy Labor Day. Just really make sure, you've heard me say this if you've been plugged into me, make sure you get some downtime this month, right, before September rolls, because we're going to want to crush it in September. September, October, November, man, we're going to want to hit it really, really hard, and that's really challenging to do if you're gassed, right? That's number one. Number two, make sure you make this month, and I've said this a couple of places, a heavy contact month. Your fall, your September and October start now, or they started a couple weeks ago, right? It's the 9th or 10th. They started 10 days ago. So you really want to make sure that the rest of this month, this needs to be the second highest month of contacts for you versus January. You need to really make that happen, right? A lot of guys and gals, what they do is they kind of go into summer mode, right? Oh, well, once everybody gets back from Labor Day vacation, then we'll get rolling. By the time you get rolling in September, September's gone. And then you're into October, and guess what October is? Christmas decorations. And then next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving, and next thing you know, 2017 is gone. You're like, what the hell happened to the fall? So make it happen today, please, next couple weeks, okay? And I'll see you next month. We'll be pushing out a note when our September ACA call is, or webcast, if you will. Hopefully you'll come join us. Submit a question. Love to help you. For those new people that are here, hey, I'm here to help. Allow me that opportunity to do that for you, okay? Be well. Thank you very much. God bless. And I'll see you about 30 days or so.